How did the ancient Kushites go from worshipping waaq to worshipping Allah? In this episode, we'll discuss how waaq became the god of the Kush Empire. We'll look at how he came to be, how he was worshipped, how people gave sacrifices to him, the types of shrines and temples people built for his honor, and finally how many Kushites abandoned the worship of waaq after the introduction of Islam. Let's get right into it. When you talk about the history of African religion, there is one empire that sticks out, and that is the Kingdom of Kush. It has been suggested by some scholars that this empire started in 1000 BCE. But the mainstream view is that it began in 300 BCE when Kush broke free from the rule of Egypt and made its own king. During its peak, the kingdom was rich and powerful. It stretched from northern Sudan, present-day Somalia, Djibouti all the way to the border of Egypt. They loved to show off their power by building huge pyramids for their kings. You might have seen these before, and if you didn't know, the largest number of pyramids in the world are in Sudan. The Kush Empire had its own language, culture, and gods. So who was waaq and how did he become so important to them? According to what has been written down about waaq, he was born in the sky and was a god of the sun. He was also called the Lord of the Two Lands or the King of the Two Lands. The lands were probably Nubia and Ethiopia. Sometimes they would call him the Son of God, but he was usually called the Son of Ra. This means he was connected to the Egyptian god Ra, the sun god. Some historians think that waaq might have originally been an ordinary man who became very important because he helped the pharaohs of Egypt. They say that he died and his body turned into a star in the sky, which is why people started to worship him as a god. Others say he was a spirit or a genie who lived in the sun, but no one knows for sure where he came from. Waaq was considered the most powerful god in the Kush Empire. His wife was called Neith and she was a goddess of healing. Together they had two sons. The first son was called Did, and he was a good god who stayed in heaven with his parents. The second son was called Aptmak, and he was a tricksy god who liked to fool people. He made people laugh and he sometimes acted like a clown. However, if someone wasn't careful and made fun of him, he could turn into a dangerous animal like a lion and attack them. People believed that waaq and his family lived in the sky above them. They saw waaq as the light of the day, which helped drive away darkness. They also thought that he was the king of the whole universe, just like how the pharaohs of Egypt were kings of their land. Just as the pharaohs ruled over their people, waaq watched over the Kushites and made sure they followed his rules. The people of Kush worshipped waaq for many different reasons. One reason was because they wanted his help when they farmed. He was also seen as a strong warrior who protected the Kushite people from their enemies. When the Kushite king became too old to rule, the priests of waaq would choose a new king. In some cases, this new king would even be someone from a different royal family. The priests believed that waaq chose this new king and they were just doing what he wanted. Some people say that waaq had more than 100 names and each name had a special meaning. For example, he was called the Lord of the Two Lands, which meant he was in charge of both Kush and Egypt. People called him the chief of the gods, which showed that they thought he was the most important god of all. One of his names was waaq, which is the same as waaq, meaning magic. This showed that people thought he had special powers that couldn't be explained. His other name was Mat, which means truth or justice. People thought he was honest and always did what was right. The ancient Kushites used various methods to communicate with waaq. One common practice was through dreams. People believed that waaq could talk to them in their dreams and tell them important messages. To have dreams about waaq, they might visit special places like the Temple of Amada or sleep near a sacred pool. They would also use tools like the Ifa divination system. This system uses special palm nuts to help understand what the future might hold. The Ifa system also helps people connect with their ancestors, who are believed to be close to waaq. By asking questions, the Ifa system provides answers and guidance, helping people make decisions and navigate life's challenges. There are several ways that people honored and interacted with waaq. They built special places like shrines and temples in his name. They also made small houses for him and left food and drinks outside for him. When people went to visit these holy places, they would leave gifts for waaq and ask for his help. People made beautiful pictures of waaq with colors like blue and green, which symbolized the sky and water. These pictures were not only decorations, but also a way to communicate with waaq. People put these pictures in their homes and in holy places. They also created statues of waaq, showing him holding important things like the crook and flail, which represent farming and protecting the crops. These statues were not just for decoration, but also as a way to talk to waaq. People in Kush built different kinds of shrines and temples to honor waaq. Some of these buildings were simple, like small huts made of sticks and leaves. Others were more elaborate, made of stone and decorated with beautiful artwork. No matter what they looked like, all of these shrines and temples were special places where people could connect with waaq. One famous temple dedicated to waaq was the Temple of Amada. It was built high up on a mountain, and people believed that this closeness to the sky made it a perfect place to connect with waaq. To reach the temple, people had to climb steep paths and cross a river. Once inside, they could see beautiful artwork that showed waaq and other important gods. There were also special rooms where people could talk to priests and ask for waaq's help. In addition to shrines and temples, people in Kush also built huge pyramids to honor waaq. Pyramids were not just tombs for kings, but also served as important religious sites. They believed that waaq's power was strong in these pyramids, and they would make offerings here to honor him. These pyramids had special chambers and passages that were hidden and only priests could go inside. Inside these chambers, they would keep precious items and treasures that they offered to waaq. Some pyramids even had secret tunnels that connected them to other buildings or to underground water sources. These tunnels were not just practical, but also had a religious meaning. They were seen as pathways that led to the afterlife, allowing the people to connect with their ancestors and with waaq. Many kings of Kush were considered to be the sons of waaq, and they built huge pyramids for themselves when they died. Each pyramid was designed to protect the king's body and treasure, so they could stay with waaq forever. Some of these pyramids are still standing today, and they are reminders of the powerful connection between the kings and waaq. Another way people honored waaq was by making special meals and giving them to him. They would cook food like roasted meat and sweet bread and then take it to shrines and temples to give to waaq. They believed that waaq enjoyed the taste of these foods, especially the bread made with honey, because it reminded him of the sweetness of the sky. People also gave waaq special drinks made from flowers and fruits, and they believed that waaq liked these refreshing drinks because they reminded him of the flowing water in the rivers. As time went on, more and more Kushites started following waaq, and some people even left their old beliefs and started following waaq only. Around the year 350 CE, waaq became the main god for many Kushites, and they stopped following other gods. People built huge statues of him and called him the king of all gods. They put these statues in important places like the Temple of Amada and the pyramids of Meroe. At this time, waaq was seen as a god of many things, like the sun, farming, the afterlife, and even magic. He was considered the most important god and was given the title of Great Lord. People really respected him and believed he could protect them and help them in many ways. After waaq became the biggest god in Nubia, his statues were put in almost every house. Even the rulers started calling themselves pharaohs, just like the Egyptians. They made big temples and pyramids for waaq and gave him lots of treasure. As time went on, waaq became an important part of Nubian culture and life. In the mid-1300s, Islam started spreading across Africa. When it reached Nubia, most people kept following waaq, but some started to abandon the old ways and follow the new teachings of Islam. After the mid-1400s, fewer and fewer Kushites practiced their old religion, and by the 1500s, it was almost completely gone. Today, most Kushites are Muslims and don't follow waaq anymore. Only a very small number still practice the old beliefs. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Thank you.